Hi, this is Halak again. In this video lecture, we'll be covering how to get Java onto your system and to install Eclipse and to create a simple Hello World project. Also, how to archive, i.e., export and then import the project back into Eclipse as well. So let's begin. Now, as you notice, I am on a Mac machine, and if you do own a Mac, Java will come pre-installed. However, if you don't have a Mac machine and you're on a Windows box, then you're going to need to get the JDK and install it into your and put it into your system, and basically change your environment variable, your path environment variable, so that Eclipse can find it. All right. Well, since I'm not on a Windows box, and if you missed my first lecture, my in-class lecture, which I demonstrate to students how to get Java working, then you have to learn how to do the path environment variables yourself. However, to get you started, just go to any web crawler and just type JDK download. So it'll be very much the first link. Make sure it's JDK download because that's the Java development kit. We go to the first link. So here we're interested in download. All right. And before you can move any further, you have to accept the license agreement. So here, and then you just select the OS which is proper for your computer. So mine is Mac OS x64. The x64 indicates 64 bits. The x86 indicates 32 bits. So your Windows x86, you're still running 32 bits. You would actually download that, and it's just an executable file. So again, for Mac users, you would already have Java installed. Now let's assume that you download it. It's a fairly big package, and you put it on your environment variables. Now the next thing to do is actually test whether Java is there. And a simple way is actually to just go to a terminal. So here's my terminal, and instead of typing Java, because this will always work if you have any operating system installed. What we want to do is actually type Java C, no space. This is actually going to the bin directory and looking for the compiler, the actual, because Java C means Java compile. It's actually the file that actually will look for the source code. So you notice that it didn't complain about any that it couldn't recognize a command. It just said that I need to include, for example, here, this is the usage, the option, and the source files. Okay, so once you have that, you're good to go. And then the next thing that we want to do is actually get Eclipse. All right, so you don't have Eclipse installed into your system. Just go type Eclipse, download. All right. It's right there. It's the first link. Okay. So again, get it for this is you should get the first one since we're doing Java development. So Eclipse IDE for Java developers. You notice that because the browser detected that I'm on a Mac OS X machine. It gives me the option of downloading it. All right. So of course you can also select Windows as well, right? For anybody with a Windows box, and then you just download it. And this basically, once you get it, it's just it's a package that you extract, and it's a single self-contained folder that contains everything, and Eclipse will be in there. It'll be for Windows user, I believe it's eclipse.exe, and for Mac users, it's eclipse.app. Okay, and I already have Eclipse installed, so I'm just gonna jump right in and start. So here's my Eclipse that will be starting up. Right, so it's loading right now. I have an older version, Indigo, and I'm fine with that. So you may get a different version. For example, showing on the browser here is Eclipse Luna. It's fine. So now once that's loaded, you notice that here there's a workspace, right? So for me is user /h/workspace. So you should always have a workspace and a project space. So you notice that I actually create two here. So I have a workspace, this is just my shortcut, and a project space. All right, so you notice at the bottom it's just in my directory. Okay, so now the first thing you want to do when you start this is that, well, let's create an actual Java application. Right, so we'll go to File. Right, notice for Mac users, everything's at the top. It's awkward for some other people who are in project. So if I, assuming that it wasn't there, you go to Project, you can actually find Java project there. Okay, so now, once we create a new project, it will ask us for a project name. To make your life a lot easier, always use upper camel notation and don't have blank spaces in between your variable names, your project names. In fact, I never, I always suggest that you don't have blank space in your file names or your directory names. It becomes a little bit more difficult later on, okay, for whatever reason. So now we can actually press finish, but if we go to next, okay, we go to next, okay. Way too many things and stuff. Oh, my antivirus is running. Just updating. That runs everything. It's slowed down. So, once we create it, this is what by creating a new project, this is what it's given to us or created for us. A project called Hello World, and in there a source file folder. Sorry, it's a source folder. Of course, there's nothing in there right now. Of course, you can include other projects as well. Notice that the libraries that come standard for you is in here. So I'm using 1.6. You could be using 1.7 and it's fine. And these are all the jar files. The order and export, this matters if you're doing some testing perhaps and you need to have certain libraries load before others. Okay, so now we can just press finish. All right, and this will give us our directory structure. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is we're just going to create a really simple Java application. So, and every file we create for our sources basically is a .java file. So you do a right click, you highlight the source folder, do a right click, and what you want to do is select class. Okay, so class. All right. And so here you notice that your cursor goes directly to the name of the class. All right. So there it is. And you notice up here that it gives you a warning: the use of the default package is discouraged. Packages are basically allows you to logically partition classes that should be together, and also helps you with naming conflicts as well. Now, the convention is actually, when companies use it, they actually reverse their entire URL, because URLs are unique, and they reverse it. This is just convention. So for example, if I have a URL how.lac.com, I just flip it around. So now you notice that the warning goes away. All right. Some students actually pointed out, well, during class that I could just click on this, and then it will create public site void main for me, right? But you know what? It's a good idea to get into the habit of doing it yourself when you're just learning. But since I guess I'm not learning, I already know this quite well, I can do that. All right, and create this for me. Okay, so this is what has been created for me. You notice that the package at the top, and then you look into your directory, right? Your actual directory here. So if I have here, you notice that source, and then I have com, lac, and how, right? See? So hello.java is there. Okay, and this is just this is Java Doc's way of saying what are the arguments. So strings, string with an array args. This is just this is a command line arguments. Okay, which we won't be using at this point. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this. So these are what we get here. This part here with the / and the star. This is and then you got to close it off. These are multi-line comments. Okay, as opposed to the 2 / which is I can say this is single line comment. Right, I can do that. Okay, and now because you're starting to program, I'm not going to get into what these keywords are, like for example public, class. You know the hello world is just what we call the class, right? Notice that our project is also called hello world, but this here hello world is actually corresponds to the file name. And in Java you need to have the class, the class needs to have the same name as the file name. Of course the file name is appended with the .java. Okay, but this is something that's required in Java. And then you have other keywords here like public, static, void, main. This is basically for a Java application the entry point. Okay, you can just think of it that way. We'll cover what these specific keywords mean in a later lecture, much later lecture. Okay, so the first thing I just want to do a print. So you can do you lazy to type. So you can actually press Control Spacebar, and then the menu will pop up for you. You can just select that. All right, try it out. Again, what I'm using here, the system class and its fields and methods is actually from the JRE system library. Okay, because someone wrote it and we can actually use it. So really nothing's for free. So, okay, and hello world. All right, and you notice that everything is very specific. The semicolon has to be there. If it's not there, Eclipse will complain. All right, mind your capitalization. For example, this is all lowercase. Okay, so system here, if you put lowercase, it will complain. All right. But if it's a string is, it's okay. Because a string pretty much is telling the Java compiler that no, it's a string, we want it as is. It's not a special keyword or anything. Right? So I'll just change this back. All right. So now we can save it and we can actually run it. Okay. So something must be running in the back. My system is slow today. So I'm going to run it as a Java application, not as a web application. And then down here it prints hello world in the terminal right here. Okay, so right there. All right. So that is a Java application. Okay, now to actually save it as an archive, as a zip file, we need to export it. Okay, so we need to export it. So under File, Export. All right, so I'm going to export this. So the first thing that you want to do is pick under General, Archive File. We go Next. And we just want to select everything that we want to archive. So notice that I'm going to browse. Well, I already have it there. Play with it earlier. And now you notice that my workspace, I'm doing all my work in a directory called workspace, right? You can actually see it up here. But I'm going to actually store my projects in a separate directory called projects. Right? So Eclipse has this idiosyncrasy that you delete your project, which I'll show you afterwards, not wipe it out of the hard drive altogether, but just remove or close the project. You want to open it again because of the metadata that's there. It won't allow you to open it again. Okay, so I'm just going to call this hello world.zip. So make sure you have the .zip in there because there's a whole bunch of .tar and all right. So make sure you actually have the right one. So I'm going to save that. Go finish. All right. So here you see that there's my zip file. Okay. All right. So there it is. Now, if I actually close this, okay, I'm in the workspace, and I delete this, all right, you're going to say, oh no, he's going to delete it. No, if I don't check this, I'm okay. So I can actually do it. This is actually for closing. You don't check that. It's not really deleting. Okay. So now that we close it, we're still in the same workspace. Okay. Now you actually try to import it again. You see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to import using an existing project, right, into the same workspace. Right. And then I'm going to try to actually let's try opening it again because that's how you would open it. All right. So this is the workspace, right? So this is my directory. If I go here and I open it, you notice that it complains. It says that it already exists. Okay. It says that it already exists. Now, to actually open it, it's something strange. You actually have to go to New. Again, yeah, Java project. This is just something really strange about Eclipse. Okay, so if I do that, if I type the exact project name and put finish on here, all right, then I get it back. All right, so you can't import it, but you have to create a new project over again, and then it'll be fine. Okay, so there we have that. Okay, so now to import the archive into the same workspace, it also will not work. Okay, so if I try and import it, yeah, so I go to projects, and import this. See, it complains that it already exists. Again, it's because of the metadata. So that's the reason why I've actually put it into its own directory. So I can switch workspace. Right? If I switch the workspace and then I actually import it again, then it'll work. All right. I'll leave you to do that as an exercise. All right. And so that's how you would actually do it. Using Eclipse. So for those of you who did not attend my first class where I showed you how to do it on a Windows box, you just have to go and find how to set your You can type in how to set your environment variables for Java, Windows. Right? So I mean, there's tons of information there, or you can ask me in class. Okay, so I hope this short video really helped for those who did not show up for class. And I will see you during our next lecture. All right? Okay, happy coding.